police for black girl nerds.
Mr. Reynolds, how many pairs of khakis and blue shirts were harmed in the making of this film?
Well, Jeandra, there were a number. There were a number that were, I don't think they were all just harmed. Some were just like mildly offended as well. But yeah, we went through that wardrobe fast. You know, I'll tell you a secret that I've not told anybody in the press, which is that the reason that that shirt never comes untucked in the movie is because it's actually underwear as well.
Are you serious? You out there wearing bodysuits?
Yep. That thing is a full-on, I call it Shunderwear. It's a shirt that's also underwear. It is, yeah, so it never comes untucked in all my action scenes because it's, you know, guy's an NPC. He doesn't come untucked. So, yeah.
I love that. Very apropos for the Olympics that we currently have going on.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank
a whole
you.
nother sport. I just enjoyed this so much. It was just enough humor and Easter eggs, but at the heart of it is a cool story about somebody who wants to step out of the box that people have placed them in, something we can all relate to. When you think about moments in your life where you dare to be great and step out of the box, what do you think about, and how did that help you shape Guy?
Well, when I think of my own life of stepping out of the box, I think it's, you know, for me, it's, you know, about, you know, taking accountability in my life, you know, moments where I've had to sort of say, oh God, like I'm just so off base here, or, you know, so I always look at those moments as that involve some form of accountability and responsibility and a trajectory of growth that is sort of born as a result of that. So, for sure. And then for Guy, I think, yeah, the character Guy in the movie is, you know, really it's not just about his own agency, it's about this collective whole. You know, there's so much, we see so much in today's world where when people band together, truly band together for a common cause, and they're united in that cause and that idea, they can move mountains. And I think that's what's so great about this story, is that it's not about a superhero in, you know, spandex or some, you know, sequel to some other superhero movie we've seen 6 million times. It really is like a wholly original summer blockbuster movie about people in the background becoming those heroes, which I think is a lot of fun.
I know sometimes our heroes don't wear capes, and sometimes our heroes don't have a terrible origin story. Sometimes it's just an awakening to do good.
Sometimes our heroes wear Shunderwear.
See, maybe, I don't know. You might have to put that on the gram a little bit. You know, you're doing a photo shoot in the Shunderwear.
No, I don't think that's happening anytime soon, Jeandra. But I do. It's a great idea.
And lastly, Mariah Carey. I know Mariah Carey is going to love that you are singing her little jingle there all throughout the film. If we put you on the spot and you thought about your favorite song that you sing, what song could you sing right now without skipping and just spit out like a verse of it? What song?
I don't think I have.
You want to sing it?
No, but I don't know if I have like a song. I'm shooting a musical right now. So all the original songs in the musical, those I can do like on the spot. But I would say probably Middle of Love by Jake Wesley Rogers. I could sing that like word for word, beginning to end. That's a song that I love and my daughters love like crazy. Mariah Carey's entire catalog. By the way, I wrote that song into the script. Like, it wasn't like a post-production kind of thing where we're like, oh, let's use this. And I consulted with Mariah before. I was lucky enough to actually get her ear for a second and talk to her a little bit about it. And, you know, she knows that song is such an engine for this movie. And it's I feel like Mariah Carey's song is a character in the movie as well. So it's yeah, music's important.
I love it. Well, I thank you, Ryan. This was I truly enjoyed this. One of the funniest movies I've seen, and I just had a great time. Thank you again for your time today.
Appreciate it. Really nice to chat with you.
You too. Take care. Hello, Jodie. Thank you so much.
Hi, Jeandra.
It is a pleasure to talk with you about Molotov Girl, aka Millie. When you have the characters like this, there are different people. We've got Molotov in the video game. You got Millie in the real life. How do you bridge them together when they're two distinct personalities, or almost like two different roles in the film?
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing that connects them is her personality, and a sense of self and a sense of humor. And I think that's what Guy really connects with as well. So I think that is what we definitely get an essence of throughout. But the biggest difference for me would be the physicality of the two. Like, I think, Millie's strengths lie in her intelligence and her belief in what's right and what she deserves and what she knows, and she follows things with conviction, whereas Molotov is like the physical side and is the kind of wish fulfillment of, if I could do, if I had the possibility, what could I be? So it was really fun to kind of push those boundaries, once we got into the video game world.
Mm-hmm. With Millie, she's one of the few characters that spends a lot of time. Well, we get to see her a lot of the film in both worlds. When you were able to see the Molotov Girl side of filming, how did you first react when you got to see all the bells and whistles that Millie only gets to see through her video game screen?
It was amazing. I mean, to see the detail in which, everyone had put together to create the worlds, when you think of the set design and the costumes, I mean, the detail that went into the costumes, like all the other gamers, within the world. Like, I remember us being on location one day in a square in Boston, and there must have been about, 20 supporting artists all dressed as avatars, and the detail that went into them. I remember there was one guy and he had like some sort of like engine on his back, and all his hair was stuck up in the air, because as if like the speed in which he'd fallen, just like the little details that had gone into it all. And then of course, getting to see the final cut of the movie and seeing all the visual effects and what those green screens actually were for, was probably the best part of the whole thing, actually, seeing everyone's hard work come together.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, salute to you for holding down women and girl gamers all across the globe. It's always great to see more gamers out there. Has this sparked a new gaming affinity in a sense for you? Do you get down on the controls?
I think for me, I've said I'm the worst. I'm the type of gamer who presses all the buttons and hopes for the best. So I'm kind of a little bit useless, but I definitely have a newfound appreciation, respect, and also admiration for, I didn't realize how big the gaming community was, to be honest. And I think it's wonderful. And also just really kind of appreciating the detail that goes into making these essentially kind of pieces of art, and what they provide for people. I think is really spectacular. So I have a newfound respect, but I'm in no way any better at playing games, sadly. No one would want me on their team.
I'm just like you. I need a joystick and I'm good. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. This movie was so cool. Thank you again for chatting with me.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Take care.
Lil Rel, it is good to see you. Every time I see you, I'm happy because you're on another project, another great project, another great project. And here is another great project. How do you celebrate the wins when you land in these types of projects?
I don't know. I mean, like, cause something like the pandemic made everything kind of weird. You know what I mean? Quarantine, and we just getting back to this. Like even tonight, just going to a premiere of one of my. I haven't done that in a long time, so it's just. I think now I celebrate it just by being grateful, man. I don't have to do nothing big or nothing like that. It's just even just you interviewing me and me. One thing I love about these interviews is it rehashes good memories of doing a project with people. It's been almost a couple of years since we shot this. And man, I'm like, wow, I did a movie with Ryan Reynolds. Oh, Jodie Comer, Keery, like it's so crazy to be able to work with all these amazing people. So I celebrate my wins by continuing to be grateful and making sure I put the same energy in all my projects that I'm able to be blessed to do. I'm from the west side of Chicago. Didn't have anybody in my family that did this. So to be able to break into I guess Hollywood, I guess you would say, it's just fascinating to me. I'm just glad I'm impressing 10-year-old me.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Oh, yeah, you got to celebrate it like that too. When you think about the little one with Buddy, who Buddy is to Guy, eternal optimist, and I like that we see the Rel that we enjoy in many things, but still bringing another layer to who he is, and as a truth sayer, and as a a ride or die, scary ride or die, but still a ride or die nonetheless. What was the
Yeah.
jumping off point for Buddy for you to bring him to life?
Buddy's innocence is what I had to really focus on. And, it's so funny too, because, like, people, oh, you play a lot of the friends and stuff like that. People, but I'm like, but they're all different though, right? They're all different types of friends. And I think that's what I love about acting is that, yeah, I always put my spin on things, but once you dive into the character, it's a whole nother thing. And this is a video game character who doesn't know anything, but that's just that world he's in. So I had to really get in this mindset of just being innocent, which is what gives, when guys start having these crazy moments, you know what I'm saying? Buddy's able to, like, hey, I know you're going through it now because you in your head, I don't see it that way. And that's why it's always like a smile every time Buddy talks. Hey, man, what are you talking about? Let's do it. Like the one line is, I don't even know what you're talking about, but I love it. Like, it's just, he's just down, right? To be there for his friend. And that's a beautiful thing.
And it is. And lastly, I asked Ryan how many khaki shirts got harmed in the making of the film. How many cop uniforms did you go through?
Not a lot, actually. It's very interesting. Like, except for the one day was a lot of running. We was running, like, man, on that platform, like the whole day was all running. So, maybe that outfit had to be clean. I don't know. But for the most part, no, it felt good to only have to wear one thing. You know what I mean? A lot of times you go through these costume changes. Now you got to do that. Fitting was the easiest fitting I've ever had because it was one outfit.
Well, I appreciate you. They are giving me the hook. Thank you so much, and this was so fun, and I'm glad to see you in it.
Oh, it's always a pleasure seeing you and talking to you. Thank you.
Take care. Joe, I like this jacket. Green is my green for the money for today.
Thank you. Just a little green. Why not?
A little money green. Well, for Keys, I don't care what anybody says. I love a smart, sensitive guy who knows who he is. But in his case, he's got to walk this fine line between creative freedom and making big bucks. Is that a fair assessment of who Keys is and who he is during this journey?
Pretty much nailed it. I think that's pretty much where you find him at the top of this. He's gone through this big loss of kind of his friendship with Millie, and he's also gone through this loss of the two of them created this game, and nothing happened with it. It got completely destroyed, this thing that he poured his whole life into. So he's made the sacrifice and is now just kind of working this job, really kind of just, putting up with it and working this job. And I think it's a pretty good springboard though for the back half of the movie, because it sets up an arc which I was really kind of interested to read on the paper, and I think people will be interested to see in the theater.
It was. It had a lot of heart. It had a lot of humor, and it had just enough Easter eggs to not be overwhelming, but still fun nonetheless. When we're seeing for your character spends a lot of time in the office, and then some of the others are out maneuvering as part of the game. When you got a chance to see the gaming portions of the film, how was your reaction to know all this that you have been pouring work into, and this is what it's going to look like for us?
It's crazy. Yeah, I remember I got to see the sequence of us running sort of up the stairs, kind of trying to chase him. When you're shooting that, it's in these tiny little bits, and there's Utkarsh and a bunny suit, and I have a gun, and I'm in this cop outfit, and we're chasing Ryan. It's like our first day working with Ryan, shooting at. It's like, what are we doing here? This is the craziest thing ever. But then when you see it all on screen, it's like larger than life. It's pretty. It's pretty incredible to watch, and I really loved that I could kind of do that but then also I had a lot to do in the real world because I enjoyed working with Jodie there and with Taika and Utkarsh and stuff.
Yeah, it's a terrific cast. It's not a bad way to spend a few months working with some terrific people. What are you most proud of with this project?
I guess I really love I love the theme of, you know, guys in this kind of unpredictable, violent, scary place, but he still chooses to do the right thing. I think that's a really beautiful theme for the movie. And I think it's nice that people can walk away from the movie being like, oh, you can kind of just be a good guy. It, like, maybe it pays sort of at the end of the day to like be nice to other people and treat people with respect and kindness. That's something that from reading the script initially I connected with. So I hope people, along with other things, maybe walk out with that.
I like that. You can be a good guy and still level up.
Yeah.
I thank you, Joe, for your time. This is such a fun movie. Thank you for chatting with me today.
Hey, thank you for the great questions.
No problem. Mr. Levy, this was a very, very fun movie, and I enjoyed it from the beginning. I didn't know what to expect, and it really touched me and made me laugh in so many ways. As a director, what was very appealing to me was just the look in itself, that we have a game and we have real life. They both look the same, but when one's looking at the other, they look very different. And it made me think about like an old the Aha video with the change and things. As a director, what were you looking to create between the two worlds to show that they were connected, but they were distinctly different?
It was always clear that this movie would alternate between going into the video game world and going into the real world, and yet they both needed to feel naturalistic and real. But I never wanted confusion. I wanted the audience to always know where they were. So before I ever shot, I literally wrote kind of a rule Bible of the ways in which we would shoot the worlds differently. So we shot the video game world, Free City, with a large format camera on a certain kind of spherical lens. The camera movement is of a certain style, and the color palette is poppy and saturated. The real world, almost no bright colors. It's all blues, grays, blacks. It's longer lenses. It's a completely different camera. It's an anamorphic lens. So hopefully those rules that we pretty much adhere to strictly create two distinct universes, but they're both fun to be in, and they're both very real feeling at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Another aspect that I enjoyed was we didn't get beat over the head with the tech. You know, it was there and it was very obvious, but it wasn't just so overwhelming. So it allowed to be focused on this cool story about this guy stepping out of the box. When treading, what's the fine line between too much tech in a film like this and just enough to move the story along?
Well, I guess the balance of tech versus humanity is going to be very subjective. And if someone else had directed Free Guy, that balance might have been different. But the truth is, I'm a casual gamer at best, and I don't want to be working on understanding tech and tech speak when I go to a movie. I want entertainment, I want delight, I want laughs, and I want warmth. And so those were my priorities every day. And I gave, I hope, enough tech that it feels authentic to the gaming world and it keeps the plot interesting and complex. But never for 1 minute did I want the movie to not be anchored in these characters, their struggles, their aspirations, and most importantly, their connections. Whether it's the friendship between Ryan's character and Rel's character, which is a male friendship, or whether it's between Jodie Comer's Molotov girl and Guy in the video game, I wanted the relationships to be front and center always.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, I love Ryan's depiction of this character who still felt human. He wasn't all robotic. What was the key to nailing that?
Ryan and I talked a lot about some inspirations for that character. And we never thought of Guy as a piece of computer code or as AI. We talked about Tom Hanks in Big, Peter Sellers in Being There. Will Ferrell in Elf. We talked about these legendary, iconic performances where an actor has played an innocent in a cynical world. And Guy and Ryan's performance as Guy is a descendant of those characters and performances.
I loved him. Thank you so much for your time. Super enjoyed this movie. I appreciate you talking to me.
Thank you.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerds. Better shake your booties for black girl nerds.